It's time to check in on the livestock markets with our livestock marketing specialist, Dr. Derrell Peel. So Derrell, how would you assess the first half of the cattle markets so far?
Yeah, you know, so far this year, I think things have played out pretty much as we expected. And I guess maybe the major signal we see at this point in time is that we've got record cattle prices. So as we ended up June, both feeder and fed cattle prices are at record levels. In fact, late this last week, we sold some fed cattle in the northern plains for $2 a pound or $200 a hundredweight. So obviously a new record there. So, so in general, things are playing out pretty much as expected.
I know, talking to you for the past couple of months, there was an expectation that beef production would likely slow down, but that's kind of not the case, right?
Well, it is slowing down, but not as much as we expected, for sure. In fact, beef production so far this year is down about 1.6%. And if you break that down into fed and non-fed, so fed beef is steer and heifer slaughter, and that's the place where we're getting some surprises because carcass weights have been substantially higher. We did not see a seasonal decline in carcass weights for steers and heifers. So they've been running 30 to 35 pounds heavier than a year ago. And fed beef production then is actually up slightly, a little bit less than 1%. Cow slaughter is down about 14 to 15%. And so, the non-fed beef part of beef production is down, and that accounts for all of the decrease that we see so far this year.
And how are pasture and range conditions looking? We're getting pretty close to the middle part of the summer.
Yeah, so far they've been pretty good. We've had generally good conditions. However, drought conditions have started to expand in the last couple of drought monitors. Now, just in the last few days, we've had some rains in Oklahoma. We've had the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl. So, there'll be some changes in those. But I'd say we're so far so good, but still watching it to see how we develop here for late in the summer and into the fall.
So what does all this mean, going forward for the rest of the year?
Well, again, we do expect to see beef production continue to fall. We'll watch these carcass weights. I don't think they'll come down sharply. In fact, they usually go up seasonally in the latter part of the year, but they're already up, so maybe they don't go up as much. We'll see. But the bottom line is beef production for the year will probably be down about 3%, maybe 3.5%. That's less than what we expected earlier when we were projecting a 4.5% to 5% decrease in beef production. Cattle prices, generally, I expect, barring some sort of outside shock, we'll continue to see very strong prices and probably have the highest prices of the year on average in the fourth quarter of this year.
So how will that, affect pretty much like all the sectors of the industry?
Well, again, this market really is oriented towards the cow-calf producers, right? So we're short on cows. We're trying to incentivize cow-calf production. We aren't seeing any indications of herd rebuilding at this point in time, but the market will keep offering those incentives. So calf prices will be high. Cow-calf producers have the potential here for record profits going forward. Now, the rest of the sectors, it depends a little bit on your margin situation, right? So high-priced calves means that stocker producers are paying a lot for their inputs, and that may squeeze their stocker margin. Same thing is true for the feedlots. Even though corn prices have come down and feedlot cost of gain has come down, the high price of feeder cattle will probably, squeeze those feedlot margins a little bit. So it just depends on who you are and kind of your individual situation, but certainly the market is really favoring the cow-calf sector right now.
All right, thanks, Derrell. Dr. Derrell Peel, Livestock Marketing Specialist here at Oklahoma State University.